Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the board meeting of the Golden Rain Foundation. This meeting will please come to order. Please turn off your cell phones or turn them to vibrate at this time. During this meeting, I ask all members and directors to be considerate and respectful while making comments during the course of the meeting. Mr. Massetti, GRF Director from Mutual 17, would you lead us in the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please, well, we don't have to unmute for roll call. Oh, we do. We have one on Zoom. Corporate Secretary, Ms. Levine, would you please conduct the roll call?
Okay. This meeting is being conducted in person and via telephone video, which is consistent with state law, so long as all board members can hear and understand each other. Therefore, I ask each board member to confirm during roll call that they can hear and understand those speaking. If at any time during the meeting a board member is unable to hear or understand the discussion, the board member agrees to ask the chair to stop the proceedings to correct the audio, if possible, and or repeat the discussion. Mrs. Perotti. Ms. Gamble. Ms. Jacqueline.
Here.
Mrs. Nugent.
I'm here and I can understand.
Mr. Geffner.
Here.
Ms. Gerber.
Present.
Mr. Thompson.
Here.
Ms. Hopewell.
Here.
Mrs. Abelser.
Here.
Ms. Thompson. Mr. Dodaro.
Here, I can understand.
Ms. Levine, here. Mr. Jablonski.
Here.
Mrs. Dumacy.
Here.
Mr. Melody.
Here.
Mr. Friedman.
Here.
Ms. Isom.
Here.
Mr. Massetti.
I'm here.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. We have the Seal Beach Councilperson, Nathan Steele, here. Would you like to speak?
Good morning, everybody. Is this good? Can you hear me? Yes. Good. Good morning, Board, and congratulations on coming to the end of your term now. And for those of you moving on, I look forward to seeing you in the future. Those of you who've been here and serving, congratulations for your service. City Council, last night we had the privilege of honoring World War II veteran centenarian Alfred Ariata. It was brought to our attention by Ruth Osborne in the Leisure World Weekly. And it was such an honor to be able to, as a city, recognize his service to our country. He was also honored by Diane Dixon, Janet Nguyen, Andrew Doe from the supervisors, chairman of the supervisors, and Katie Porter, who was not there in person, but she had a flag that had flown over the Capitol as a gift for Mr. Ariata. So his whole family was there, and it was quite a celebration last night for him. The drought level 2 water restrictions have been lifted in Seal Beach. There are still some restrictions on what to water, but we are now going to level 0, so we got plenty of water. I had the privilege of doing the Colorado River Aqueduct tour, the inspection tour, where we actually drove all the way up. It was a three-day tour, and we got to go all the way up to Hoover Dam and all the stops in between. So it was, it's an impressive engineering feat. It highlights the fact that we do have water that's coming in here. There are problems with Lake Mead. There are problems with Lake Havasu in terms of their water levels, but they're, as of yesterday, they are doing things about that. They're going to be replenishing the water in both of those bodies of water. So it was great to see that whole aqueduct system. It's amazing this was designed and built all the way back in the 1930s. Somebody with great vision put that all together, and so it was a real privilege for me to see it up close and personal from the Metro Water District, and so that was a special thing. Seal Beach did a full alert exercise emergency operations we simulated a tsunami. This was a countywide operation, and in Seal Beach, we activated our Emergency Operations Center. I'm just learning this stuff. I've only been in office for less than 3 months still, but we had all of our departments represented there. We had the Fire Authority, we had Naval Base there, we had the Boeing people there, we had Navy police there, we had our own PD, we had fire there. It was quite the operation, lasted about 4 hours, and it simulated the coordination of our emergency services. In the case of an emergency, we simulated a tsunami, and cross other agencies throughout the county. And so I'm presuming it was successful. Nobody said otherwise, but it was a good exercise for us to see it in operation, and everybody had a role in that. So that was a great exercise. Oh, and by the way, they have a map of how far a tsunami can go, and theoretically it has to be a pretty serious tsunami, a very, very serious tsunami, to reach as high as Leisure World, just so you know. So it's kind of like, well, that's a relief. Let's see, what else? I have been elected to the Orange County Senior Citizen Advisory Commission, which is like, I don't know what I'm going to do there yet, but I thought somebody from Leisure World should be on the Senior Citizen Advisory Commission. So you can give me your inputs, and I'll go rally for Leisure World. I'll go rally for Seal Beach. I really feel like I am not just an ambassador for Seal Beach, but in chambers and in all the commissions and boards I'm sitting on these days, I feel like I'm an ambassador for Leisure World as well. So, I mean, everybody knows I come from Leisure World, and I represent Leisure World, part of Leisure World anyway, and so I'm an ambassador for us. So I accept your feedback, too, by the way. Oh, and the mosquitoes it's not mosquito season quite yet, theoretically, but we have an advisory for midges. I had no idea what a midge was until yesterday, but a midge looks like a mosquito, but it doesn't bite. So they're out, they're around, nothing to get excited about. We will have the Orange County Mosquito and Vector Protection. They're going to be participating with us in our health fair here inside Leisure World. I'm hoping they can bring their 20-foot-tall inflatable mosquito with them, so I'm hoping that will be here. That'll be very exciting stuff right there. Anyway, any questions?
I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
Who takes care of the street lights here in Leisure World? Because we have one on Northwood Road that's been flickering for months.
Public Works.
Yeah. There are some that are the responsibility of Seal Beach, but the vast majority of your street lights are your responsibility. If you could tell me which one, I know somebody who could tell me right away whether it is yours or ours.
Okay, it's Northwood Road, outside of Building 244, between F and G. Or I mean, G and H.
That would
G and
probably
H.
be in your jurisdiction and site here.
Weaver's already nodding.
Another note, too, I would appreciate your input, too, by email or otherwise. The council is beginning to consider parking on Main Street as a revenue source. I know we've had free parking on Main Street since time and memoriam, and it's kind of one of the quaint things about our town, but we are discussing now about metered parking on Main Street. I see. That'll be fun, won't it?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Nathan.
Yes.
Would they consider, if they're doing that, some senior passes like they do in Huntington Beach?
Yeah, there are all kinds of considerations available to us in this system. There's a great deal of flexibility to the system as well, and I think it's not dead on arrival. It's just that most of us really think it's fine the way it is, except for the fact that we in Seal Beach, just so you guys know, we are built out. Our revenue streams going forward are increasing at approximately 2% per year, and our costs are going up at about 7.5% a year. So it's kind of like Armageddon in front of us. So we're looking around. We're seriously considering things like parking on Main Street, and just open minds, open ears. Yes, sir.
Yes, I had a question. If the meters went in, would there be a time limit? Because right now there's a 2-hour time limit. Would they be extended? Like, could they continue to put the meters in all day to parking there?
the technology they use for metering today is really advanced. It's very, very flexible, and so people who can actually use a cell phone, an app on a phone, would be able to pay for an hour, extend their stay if they want, up to 4 hours on Main Street. It's not like we're going to be plugging quarters into meters and that sort of thing. So it's a very advanced technology system with a lot of flexibility built in.
I was just wondering if they could stay like for 8 or 12 hours, you know, if a lot of
Not
people
on
went
Main
to the
Street,
beach.
no.
Okay.
Down at the beach, yes, you can do it down at the beach. On Main Street, I think it maxes out at 4 hours, but the first 2 hours are relatively inexpensive. The third and the fourth hour get expensive because we don't want the employees parking on Main Street, and so that for all day and parking, all that sort of thing. Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me. We understand the challenge of income versus
Thank you.
Expenses. But my question is not related to that.
Oh.
My question is, or my statement is, would you please talk to Ruth about the advisory board that you're now assigned to, and so we can have an article about it?
Sure.
And the purpose of it and what you might be looking for
Absolutely.
from residents?
I'd be
Thank you.
delighted to. As soon as I know, Ruth will know, and she'll write the article, and you will know. Yes, sir.
Yeah, have the Main Street businesses weighed in on that meter thing? Because I would think they might well be opposed to it.
If it was the old technology at Quarters and stuff, they were adamantly opposed to that. And we are polling not just the Main Street businesses, who are an important constituent in the whole deliberation process. However, and this I found very, very interesting, the person that does our consulting around parking also does it for a lot of other cities. When cities put in parking on Main Street, the sales revenues, sales tax income to the city goes up. In other words, the merchants do more business when there is paid parking. I know it sounds counterintuitive. Just like downhill skiing, you're supposed to lean downhill, not uphill. It strikes me as odd. So I've got some research to do on that yet. But that's part of the discussion, definitely. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I know that the pier was damaged in January during one of those storms. Can you give us an update on the repairs there?
Yeah, the repairs are actually, the repair work that you see on the pier right now with that great big crane that's been out there, they are replacing the dock system that was there and rented from the city for the platform work that goes out. The worker bees that work out in the platforms could get on boat and get off the boat at Seal Beach right there. And so that's a large part of the construction you see there right now. There are cross pieces that were wiped out in the storm. Those are going to be replaced at this time as well. It's covered by an insurance policy payout. And so we're not being damaged at the city level. We have insurance for these things. And so I believe it's going to all be done within a couple of weeks. So,
The last
certainly for the
question
beginning.
is from Mr. Melody.
Hi, yes, sir.
Hi, I took the survey over the weekend.
Which,
and
okay,
on parking on
Yes,
Main
sir.
Street and charging for it, and the results are 72%
against.
against.
Yes, sir.
If that continues, will we then not have parking meters on Main Street?
Well,
Or doesn't it matter?
let me put it this way. Everything's on the table, including parking on Main Street. I did a parking survey for the whole city back in January, if you recall that one too, and it's 70% opposed, no question about it. But I don't think everybody understands the intricacies of what's available to us and whether it's convenient or not, or whether it helps merchants, or whether it helps the city. The city in our current situation financially, we really need to look at things seriously. And so it does matter what people think, absolutely. But we need to be informed in that process as well. Did I answer that well?
So are you also considering increasing parking at the beach parking lot?
Yes, that is part of it as well. We have to get permission from the Coastal Commission to be able to raise the rates in the beach parking lots right now. We survey the other cities around California that have beach parking like we do, and we are the cheapest on the block, in literal truth. There is no other coastal town in the state of California that we are aware of that has free parking on their main street. So, I mean, these are the kind of things that considering our forecast, considering the challenges facing Seal Beach, we literally have to consider everything. And so,
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
yes, thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Today, as the councilperson pointed out, is the last regular meeting of the term. We will be losing 4 of our GRF directors very soon. Leah Parati, Mutual One, she's not here today. Phil Friedman, our current treasurer for Mutual 15. Lucy Ablisser, Mutual 7. And Sandy Geffner, Mutual 3. We will miss all of you very, very much. President's comments. The GRF Board met in executive session of the Board on April 6, 2023. If there are any grammar, punctuation, or non-substantive changes to governing documents presented at today's meeting, please contact the Executive Coordinator, Tia, after the meeting. If there are substantive changes, we will move to refer the governing documents back to the originating committee. At this point, I would like to ask the Director of Finance to speak for a moment.
Good morning. All right, so I wanted an opportunity to go over in the consent calendar. There are a couple of items that we needed to discuss. One from last month, that was the expenditures over the 10,000. So some clarification on the ICS. Yes, there were 3 payments made. January through March, there was an update to the contract, so it took them some time to get us the updated invoicing. We did not receive until March 15th, so we had 3 payments. The other was the Site Logic. Yes, there were 2 payments. The products were ordered, and we held payment until we received them in purchasing. So as we were paying the deposit, we were paying the remaining balance. As we received them, we installed them, we made both payments. The next piece you will have is the second half of April, expenditures over 10,000. You'll notice that there's nothing from May. As we've transitioned over to sync, we're having, learning curves, and we are heavily inundated with training and those such things. So we will have May through July at the July meeting for review and approval. And I just wanted to sincerely apologize for the delay in the April financial. We will have that over to you. I'm hoping the end of this week, if not latest early next week, for your review.
Did you want to address the capital reserve funds balance sheet at this time, or did you want to wait until we get to that?
I can do either. I can address it now. So you'll see here, the only addition that I wanted to point out was the funds year to date. I've added that, so moving forward, I will continue to increase that so you can see what the contribution has been. But other than that, no, pretty straightforward. We did see a small decrease in resales for May, so just something to be aware of.
Okay, thank you. We use a consent agenda format to increase the efficiency of our board meeting. We have grouped together agenda topics that are routine and reoccurring and board quorum committee meeting minutes in order to approve them with one action. I know. I will ask the board members if anyone wants to discuss any of the items listed on the consent agenda. If it is determined that any item requires discussion, it will be removed from the consent portion and addressed individually. If any item is removed, I will read out loud and the remaining consent items and move that the consent agenda be adopted. The first item is GRF Board of Directors meetings, April 25th, 2023, page 1 through 7. The second item is approved transfer of funds for GRF per Civil Code 5502, page 9 through 12. Are there any amendments or requests to remove an item? Ms. Domacy.
While reading the minutes, I noticed you didn't write down that we voted to disband the governing documents. It should be in there.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, the consent agenda is approved as amended. After the corporate secretary has signed the GRF minutes and the consent calendar, they will be posted on the website. Member comments. We only have one today, and that is from Kay Mount.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Great. I'm Kay Mount. I live in Mutual 15, Apartment 6B, and I'm here today as president of the Shuffleboard Club. As you can see from the audience, there is enormous commitment from Shuffleboard Club members to move forward as a bigger and better club, and we're excited about that. I do want to take a moment to thank you for allowing members to speak to you, and especially the Recreation Department, who has been very supportive. I remember meeting Jesse early in my term as president last fall, maybe late summer, and things have been rolling ever since. I thank the Recreation Committee for those of you who passed important proposals and moved them on to the Physical Properties Committee, which has been incredible in what you've done for the support of what we're doing. And I especially want to thank Kevin Black and Mark Weaver for all you've done in facilitating reaching you, the big muckety mucks, here in the GRF board today. Everyone in our club has worked so hard to enlist new members this last year. Since January, we have had, remarkably, 7 league teams, averaging 7 players per team and playing every week, compared to the historical 3 teams who used to play just 2 teams per week on Friday mornings. Club members know that the overall usage of our building is an important measure to earn the support from GRF. Since September, when league play began, we have had 4 months with over 300 people signing in to the recreation building, including this past April when 307 registered. And that's compared on April to 109 from last year. That's a 282% improvement. Thank you for all you do. Oh, thank you. Our veteran members, new members, and GRF employees have all reported how out of whack our courts are. They're out of balance, they're scarred, and they have crumbling concrete, sometimes falling out in chunks. When we filter our wax beads, which we put down every time a set of games are being played so we can recycle them, we get about a cup of concrete chips in that swept up wax. Mark Weaver and Kevin Black have seen for themselves. With all the research they've done to find a solution, we finally found a supplier contractor who has shuffleboard expertise and works with Southern California and Arizona shuffleboard courts and their owners. Your shuffleboard club is emphatically requesting that you approve the proposal you'll vote on today for the work that could be done this summer. By approving that proposal today, we expect that the work could be completed late July, just in time to celebrate the club's 60th anniversary. It was founded in August of 1963. The refurbished courts will support additional new players without losing current ones because of our stupid courts, and give us the opportunity to further the popularity of shuffleboard to continue increasing the usage of our beautiful Leisure World amenity. And with your crazy schedules, I'll meet you anytime to give you some lessons so you too could join this hot shot club. Thank you.
Thank you. New business, capital funding. We've already done capital and reserve funds balance sheet. We're on the second issue, which is air conditioning unit for amphitheater dressing rooms, presented by Mr. Melody.
At its April 13th, 2023 Recreation Committee meeting, it was requested that the staff obtain pricing on air conditioning for the amphitheater dressing rooms. Physical property staff obtained a bid from Greenwood Heating and Air to install air conditioning heating at the amphitheater dressing rooms. The financial impact projected to be funded by 2023 capital funding of $16,920. Heat pumps should be added to the reserve study. Routine maintenance will be required for this component. I move to award a contract to Greenwood Heating and Air for the installation of heat pumps at the amphitheater dressing rooms for a total cost not to exceed $16,920, which includes a 20% contingency, capital funding, and authorize the president to sign the contract.
I second it.
Seconded by Ms. Hopewell. Do we have any discussion? The motion is to approve installing air conditioning at the amphitheater dressing rooms as described for a total cost not to exceed $16,920, which includes a 20% contingency, capital funding, and authorize the president to sign the contract. Vote count, please.
Oh.
Yeah, I have Tony online.
You were right.
Ms. Gamble?
Yes.
Ms. Jacqueline?
Yes.
Mrs. Nugent?
Yes.
Mr. Geffner?
Yes.
Ms. Gerber?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Ms. Hopewell?
Yes.
Mrs. Ablisser?
Yes.
Mr. Dodaro?
Yes.
Ms. Levine?
Yes.
Mr. Jablonski?
Yes.
Mrs. Domacy?
Yes.
Mr. Melody?
Yes.
Mr. Friedman?
Yes.
Ms. Isom?
Yes.
And Mr. Massetti?
Yes.
The motion has passed.
Thank you. The next item is service maintenance utility vehicles. Jessica, did you want to talk on this?
So at 2 meetings ago, we approved some club cars to take a look, and we've been reviewing those. After review, there is another vehicle that we believe is going to be a little bit more sturdy, that's going to work probably in some better instances for service maintenance. So what we would like to do is to get 2 of those vehicles for final testing, so then we can determine between the 2 vehicles which ones, either one or the other, or a mix of the 2 utility vehicles, is going to meet the needs of the service maintenance team.
Okay, this will be presented by Ms. Gamble.
At its February 8th, 2023 meeting, the Security Bus and Traffic Committee recommended that the GRF Board of Directors approve the purchase of 2. Well, is it not working? Is this not working?
Use the other one.
I'll try this one.
Yes.
All right. This one doesn't work, just so whoever's in charge of the microphones can check that. Thank you very much. Okay, at its February 8th, 2023 meeting, the Security Bus and Traffic Committee recommended that the GRF Board of Directors approve the purchase of 2 Club Car 710 LSV utility vehicles. That action was approved at the February 28th, 2023 meeting, and those vehicles are now in service. The Fleet and Service Maintenance Departments, in coordination with the Executive Director, now recommend purchase of 2 heavy-duty Taylor-Dunn Bigfoot electric utility vehicles to replace 2 of the GRF Fleet's Cushman gas-powered utility vehicles. The vehicles requested are spec'd with a load-carrying capacity of 2,000 pounds to serve as a heavy-duty option to the Club Car 710 utility vehicles. On background on this, many of our GRF fleet Cushman utility vehicles have been in service for 30 to 40 years and have exceeded their useful life. And they're just, they're falling apart, literally. And we ask those utility vehicles to do a huge load. You see them carrying around refrigerators and all manner of equipment. So we really do need some stronger equipment for the heavier projects. I move to approve funding for the replacement purchase of 2 Cushman utility vehicles at a cost not to exceed $51,742.84, plus a $1,000 contingency from PAPE Material Handling, funding from the reserve account.
I second it.
Terry, Ms. Nugent has seconded the motion. Discussion? Vote.
Again, if I could.
Yes.
I just would like to, again, remind everyone how diligently our maintenance people have utilized our existing fleet. And although this seems pricey, it's for 2 vehicles, and these are really going to be heavy-duty vehicles, and I hope that that they work out fine, particularly on our sidewalks and whatnot. And I just really think that it's important for us to have the appropriate equipment. Sometimes we push our equipment beyond its limits, and this is very necessary.
Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Campbell?
Yes.
Ms. Jacqueline?
Yes.
Mrs. Nugent?
Yes.
Mr. Geffner?
Yes.
Ms. Gerber?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Ms. Hopewell?
Yes.
Mrs. Ablisser?
Yes.
Mr. Dodaro?
Yes.
Ms. Levine?
Yes.
Mr. Jablonski?
Yes.
Mrs. Domacy?
Yes.
Mr. Melody?
Yes.
Mr. Friedman?
Yes.
Ms. Isom?
Yes.
And Mr. Massetti?
Yes.
The motion has passed.
Thank you. We're at reserve funding. The first motion is shuffleboard courts. Ms. Jacqueline.
Thank you for letting me be part of such a positive motion. Thank you, Madam President, for assigning this one to me. I do appreciate it, and certainly appreciate the club's presence here. At its March 6, 2023 meeting, the Recreation Committee requested staff to obtain pricing for the repairs to the shuffleboard facility, due to the cracks and efflorescence. I looked that up. Efflorescence is the leaching of crystalline deposits of salts into concrete that have damaged the 6 courts and walkways. Physical property staff solicited bids to repair, and we received 2, one for $18,400 and one for $10,400. There's also a provision for a clean-out bin when we get all this junk off the ground at $550. The fiscal impact is that the project will be funded by the 2023 reserve study, and the fiscal impact will be approximately $1,000 per year for yearly scheduled maintenance that will include 6 courts, scrub, touch up the lines numbers, repolish, redensify, buff with poly ultra spray. The annual maintenance will be a normal operations expense. Therefore, I move to award a contract to Floor Care of Arizona for the leveling, beveling, and filling of cracks on 6 courts, followed by removing paint and lines, reinstalling the lines and numbers for $10,950 plus a 20% contingency for a total cost not to exceed $13,140. Reserve funding and authorize the president to sign the contract.
I second it.
The motion was seconded by Terry Nugent. Discussion? Ms. Hopewell.
Thank you. First of all, Kay, I'd like to thank you for your positive comments about staff and committee members and committee actions. You have always been a very eloquent supporter of the shuffleboard court, and I really do appreciate that. The only thing I'm upset about is that Terry Nugent pushed her button first for the second. but I'll speak to her after that.
We've been fighting over you.
Donna, you got the wrong light on. It's the wrong light.
Carol, did you have something you wanted to say? Oh, just that. Okay, roll call vote,
Wait,
please.
I wanted to comment.
Oh, Donna.
I too wanted to thank you for being, thank all of you for being here. I formerly was a member of the Shuffleboard Club, and it's just, my calendar, it hasn't allowed me to participate again. It's really, it's quite a fascinating hobby. And I just wanted to mention, I think Jesse's probably aware of this, shuffleboard is beginning to be a popular, quote, sport among young professionals again in major cities like New York, Chicago, Detroit, et cetera. Now, they have a little different spin on it. They all include alcohol with theirs. But nevertheless, it's becoming popular again, not unlike how pickleball slowly regrew. And like lots of sports, they ebb and flow and ebb and flow. And certainly, shuffleboard is on the rise again. And I think that this is money that would be well spent for not only our current shuffleboardians, I don't know what else to call you, shufflers, I guess, but for those who will be coming to our community, because I think that this facility is really, it's a remarkable facility. I was mesmerized the first time I saw one of those little pucks go past when I just peered in the window one day and then went in and joined you all. So anyhow, I am very much in favor of this.
Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Gamble?
Yes.
Ms. Jacqueline?
Yes.
Mrs. Nugent?
Yes.
Mr. Geffner?
Yes.
Ms. Gerber?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Ms. Hopewell?
Yes.
Mrs. Ablisser?
Yes.
Mr. Dodaro?
Yes.
Ms. Levine?
Yes.
Mr. Jablonski?
Yes.
Mrs. Domacy?
Yes.
Mr. Melody?
Yes.
Mr. Friedman?
Yes.
Ms. Isom?
Yes.
And Mr. Mazzetti?
Yes.
The motion has passed.
Thank you. I think Ruth got a picture of the group already? Yeah, good. Okay, we're on to administration, amend 30-1001-5, glossary of term. Mr. Geffner.
Thank you, Madam President. At its April 20th, 2023 meeting, the GRF Administration Committee recommended the Board of Directors approve the amended definition of the glossary terms for governing documents. The GRF glossary of terms creates greater efficiency for the board's formulation and enforcement of rules governing the community by codifying meanings of terms and limiting the need to include those definitions in each rule. In early 2022, the GRF Administration Committee appointed Director Paula Snowden to chair a subcommittee reviewing every term then in the glossary and propose amendments, additions, or deletions to the list. The subcommittee reviewed thematically related items in individual meetings to better determine subtle variations in the scores of definitions. The item under consideration today is governing documents. There is no anticipated fiscal impact apart from the minimal staff time to incorporate the new definitions into the governing documents. I move to amend 30-1001-5, glossary of terms, governing documents as presented.
I'll second.
Seconded by Ms. Jacqueline. The motion is to amend 30-1001-5, glossary of terms, governing documents as presented. And I would like to do a special thanks for Ms. Snowden, who did a lot of work on this, and it's now complete. Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Gamble?
Yeah.
Ms. Jacqueline?
Yes.
Mrs. Nugent?
Yes.
Mr. Geffner?
Yes.
Ms. Gerber?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Ms. Hopewell?
Yes.
Mrs. Ablisser?
Yes.
Mr. Dodaro?
Yes.
Ms. Levine?
Yes.
Mr. Jablonski?
Yes.
Mrs. Domacy?
Yes.
Mr. Melody?
Yes.
Mr. Friedman?
Yes.
Ms. Isom?
Yes.
And Mr. Massetti?
Yes.
The motion has passed.
The next order of business, amend 30-5022-3, Community Rules Violation Panel Charter. Mr. Jablonski.
On May 18th, 2023, the GRF Administration Committee recommended the Board of Directors amend 30-5022-3 Community Rules Violation Panel Charter. The Golden Reins Foundation approval of changes to 30-5020-1 Organization of Board make it necessary to change the makeup of the board members eligible to serve on the Community Rules Violation Panel. The amendments proposed concerning the appointment of members of the CRV panel will standardize the procedures for staffing among all GRF committees, specifying nominations by the president and ratification by a majority vote of the board of directors. There is no anticipated change in revenue or expenses as a result of amending this rule. I move to amend 30-5022-3 Community Rules Violation Panel Charter.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Ms. Nugent. Discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Gamble?
Yes.
Ms. Jacqueline?
Yes.
Mrs. Nugent?
Yes.
Mr. Geffner?
Yes.
Ms. Gerber?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Ms. Hopewell?
Yes.
Mrs. Ablisser?
Yes.
Mr. Dodaro?
Yes.
Ms. Levine?
Yes.
Mr. Jablonski?
Yes.
Mrs. Domacy?
Yes.
Mr. Melody?
Yes.
Mr. Friedman?
Yes.
Ms. Isom?
Yes.
And Mr. Massetti?
Yes.
The motion has passed.
Thank you. The next item is, let's see, 30-5028-3 Golden Rain Foundation Director's Handbook. Ms. Hopewell.
Thank you. On December 13th, 2022, the GRF Administration Committee approved changes to 30-5028-3 GRF Director's Handbook. At the committee's May 18, 2023 meeting, it approved additional changes and recommended the Board of Directors accept those amendments to the handbook. The Golden Rain Foundation Board's approval of changes to 30-5020-1 Organization of the Board and the subsequent changes in the 4 prospective committees' charters make it necessary to authorize changes in the GRF Director's Handbook. Board procedures for appointing committee members and the responsibilities and limitations of GRF board members have been amended, and all changes need to be reflected during board member orientation for the coming 2023-24 term. There's no potential cost savings or revenue impacts expected from amending this rule. I move to amend GRF Rule 30-5028-3, GRF Director's Handbook.
I second it.
It was Carol Levine.
Carol Levine has seconded. Okay. I would like to note at this point that the red line in the charter with the Board of Director responsibilities and limitations have already gone through a consensus process 2 times, and the Board of Directors has also affirmed it. Most of the other changes are due to the structural changes of the new 4-committee structure. Any discussion? Mr. Geffner?
Yeah, I said this when it came up at the GRF Admin Committee. I had a list of issues, and at the end I said this. I'd like to repeat it here for the whole board. There's a steady drumbeat that GRF directors should be relying more on staff. Having a staff person with writing and editing skills review publications and policies would seem like a perfect role to take advantage of those skills. To the members, we are what we communicate, and if it is not clear, direct, and concise, how are they to understand? Furthermore, if we are ever taken to court and our language is vague or suspect, we lower our chances of prevailing. It seems like a failure of our fiduciary responsibilities to not put out the clearest communications we can. And I fear this, like many others, could be much improved if we had the review by somebody qualified. I'll be voting no, not because I don't think we need the handbook, but because I really think we need to do a better job of better, clear, concise, transparent communications.
Any other comments? Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Gamble?
Yes.
Ms. Jacqueline?
Yes.
Mrs. Nugent?
Yes.
Mr. Geffner?
No.
Ms. Gerber?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Ms. Hopewell?
Yes.
Mrs. Ablisser?
Yes.
Mr. Dodaro?
Yes.
Ms. Levine?
Yes.
Mr. Jablonski?
Yes.
Mrs. Domesey?
Yes.
Mr. Melody?
Yes.
Mr. Friedman?
Yes.
Ms. Isom?
Yes.
And Mr. Massetti?
Yes.
The motion is passed with 1 no vote.
Thank you. The next item is amend 40-2920-3 budget controls. Mr. Friedman.
Thank you very much, Madam President. This is a far-reaching motion, and I want everybody to pay careful attention because it's going to change the way we do business here and hopefully will improve the results. On May 18th, 2023, the GRF Administration Committee recommended the Board of Directors amend 40-2920-3 budget controls. Background. The Golden Rain Foundation's board approval of changes to 3050-20-1 organization of the board and the subsequent changes in the 4 prospective committee charters makes it necessary to authorize changes in the annual budget formulation. The requested changes retain individual committee guidance and oversight in developing the annual budget for ratification by the Board of Directors. It also shifts responsibility for monthly monitoring for a consolidated institutional budget to the Administration Committee. It is anticipated that monthly reporting in a consolidated budget format will provide a clearer viewpoint on the Foundation's budget status and permit more prompt adjustments to counter unexpected events. Fiscal impact, there potentially may be minor savings in staff time and operational expenses because fewer financial reports will have to be prepared than under the previous 11-committee structure. Therefore, I move to amend GRF Rule 40-2920-3 Budget Controls.
Ms. Gamble, are you seconding it? Seconded by Donna Gamble. Again, the motion is to amend 40-2920-3 budget controls as presented. Discussion, please. Roll call vote.
I don't care because I won't be here.
Ms. Gamble?
Yes.
Ms. Jacqueline?
No.
Mrs. Nugent?
Yes.
Mr. Geffner?
No.
Ms. Gerber?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Ms. Hopewell?
Yes.
Mrs. Ablisser?
Yes.
Mr. Dodaro?
Yes.
Ms. Levine?
Yes.
Mr. Jablonski?
Yes.
Mrs. Domesey?
Yes.
Mr. Melody?
Yes.
Mr. Friedman?
Yes.
Ms. Isom?
Yes.
And Mr. Massetti?
Yes.
The motion is passed with 2 no votes.
Thank you. Ad hoc reports. Mrs. Domis, I'm sorry. Facilities and Amenities Ad hoc Committee Charter. Ms. Domesey.
Thank you, Madam President. At its August 25th, 2022 meeting, the GRF Administration Committee recommended the Board of Directors rescind 30-5175-3, the Charter for Facilities and Amenities Review Ad hoc Committee. The Facilities and Amenities Review Ad hoc Committee last presented a report to the Board of Directors at the board's monthly meeting on February 25th, 2020. No anticipated financial impact. I move to rescind 30-5175-3, the Charter for the Facilities and Amenities Ad hoc, Facilities and Amenities Review Ad hoc Committee.
I second it.
Seconded by Ms. Hopewell. Discussion? Mr. Friedman?
No.
Oh. Ms. Domesey?
No.
Okay. All right. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Gamble?
Yes.
Ms. Jacqueline?
Yes.
Mrs. Nugent?
Yes.
Mr. Geffner?
Yes.
Ms. Gerber?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Ms. Hopewell?
Yes.
Mrs. Ablisser?
Yes.
Mr. Dodaro?
Yes.
Ms. Levine?
Yes.
Mr. Jablonski?
Yes.
Mrs. Domesey?
Yes.
Mr. Melody?
Yes.
Mr. Friedman?
Yes.
Ms. Isom?
Yes.
And Mr. Massetti?
Yes.
The motion has passed.
Okay, Ms. Domacy, do you have a report on 1.8 acre ad hoc committee?
We're still waiting for the engineering back, so we haven't had a meeting this month, but I would like to talk about the bylaw amendments. We are 880 votes short of having the quorum that we need for and that's of last Friday. So between last Friday and the day we count the ballots, we need 880 more votes. And I think a few Leisure World Live saying vote for the bylaw amendment would help us. But I have a feeling we're going to make the quorum this Friday. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next meeting date is July 25th, Clubhouse 4. Does anyone on the board wish to speak?
Yeah, because it's July 25th, okay.
Okay, Ms. Hopewell.
I would like to thank the 4 departing directors for their service to this community. You've done a fabulous job, and we all should be so grateful for your service. I'd also like to mention that while the next business meeting is in July, we do have an annual meeting we have a couple of meetings in June, in early June, one of which is, of course, the annual meeting, which I hope everybody will attend.
Ms. Gamble?
Yes, I too would like to thank the outgoing board members. Appreciate your service, and we will miss you. We will miss, in particular, certain folks who are very picky about things in terms of grammar and such, but that's important. So I'm not dismissing the value of that. We will certainly miss that. And I just want to say that thank you all for a great year. I think we accomplished a lot, and I appreciate the people who have continued to support us and to come to the meetings. And so that's all I need to say.
Lucy?
Well, as a departing board member, I want to thank everybody for being supportive. I have learned so much about how Leisure World functions, sometimes a little more than I want to know. And I think it's been a couple of exciting years, especially the one where, our executive director left, and we had a really somewhat onerous chore of finding someone new and doing everything in between, as our president did. So I will miss everyone. It was wonderful getting to know you. Thank you for the opportunity. And I hope that I can serve in another manner when I'm healthy again. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Mr. Friedman?
As another one of the departing members, I want to thank the board. I want to thank every member of the board. I think this is a great board. I think we work together well. I think we accomplished a lot. I think we have a lot to go. I want to welcome our new executive director, who I think is steering us in the right direction to make some vast, much-needed improvements to bring us into the 21st century. And I'll see you around.
Ms. Levine?
Well, I want to echo Mr. Friedman in thanking our new executive director, but I also want to thank all the supportive staff, because we could not do the job we do here without the staff. And also I want to thank all the shareholders who've taken the time to either support or criticize. It doesn't matter. Your opinions are important to us. Thank you.
Mr. Geffner?
I really enjoy living in Leisure World, and I appreciated the opportunity to represent my mutual. I think it's incumbent on people who live here to get the government they wish. So if you're not willing to be active, then it's harder for you to complain if you don't like something, or even to give encouragement if you do. So we're going through a lot of changes. You may like some, you may not like some, but unless you get involved, then you can't expect it to change in any ways that you like. I think we're a large operation, lots of moving pieces. It is hard to get your hands around everything. So just look at what you're interested in and see what you can do. But again, I appreciated the opportunity to represent my mutual. I did it to the best of my ability and wish you well in the future. Thank you.
Mr. Massetti?
Yes, I just wanted to say I'm surprised Director Thompson hasn't objected to the use of the word departed in this context. I think retired is probably more appropriate, and I congratulate the members for that. Thank you.
Actually, you don't know my plans, Mr. Massetti.
Yeah. Yes. All of our members that are going to be leaving us will be celebrated later. There, on June 6th, we are having our GRF election results in this room, and June 13th is our annual meeting, and they will be at both of those. Okay, we are adjourned.